Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, the white-collar safe haven is officially burning down as AI comes for investment bankers and surgeons. China claims a battery that lasts 50 years, and Donald Trump and Elizabeth Warren actually agree on something. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird day when the political horseshoe theory proves true and the job market catches fire at the exact same time. The simulation is definitely glitching a bit today.
It really is. And I want to start right at the top of the stack because the temperature in the room just changed for a lot of people who thought they were safe. We were talking about the moat around high-status jobs. For years, the narrative you'd hear was, AI creates art and writes bad poetry, but the serious jobs are safe. Well, that moat is gone.
Completely evaporated. And we aren't talking about trucking or manufacturing this time. We are talking about the people in the Midtown offices with the Patagonia vests.
Exactly. There is this viral thread going around at Qwen today that really captures the panic. Anthropic, the makers of Claude, they're launching plugins specifically designed for investment banking. And let's be clear about what this means. We aren't talking about a spell checker for your email.
Right.
We are talking about automating deal reviews, financial analysis, the heavy lifting that usually keeps a junior analyst at their desk until 3 a.m.
Right. Let's unpack the actual workflow here to understand the displacement, because a junior analyst's job is essentially data synthesis. They take a massive PDF, like a 100-page annual report, extract the risk factors, put them into an Excel model, and then write a summary memo for the vice president.
Which takes hours.
Yeah, that is 90% of the billable hours. This new integration from Anthropic doesn't just help do that, it just does it.
So if I'm a bank, why am I paying a 22-year-old Wharton grad $150,000 a year plus bonus when a software subscription can do the overnight grunt work in 4 seconds?
You aren't. That's the brutal calculus. And this isn't just a helper tool. If you look at the context here, this connects directly to what Bloomberg has been reporting about the automation of equity research. You have to look at the numbers. McKinsey did an analysis back in 2023 predicting that 30% of finance jobs would be disrupted by 2030. We are in 2026, and honestly, it feels like we are way ahead of schedule.
At Qwen put it bluntly, he said, Anthropic is currently destroying entire professions, the next domain to fall. But here's my question for you. Is this actually destruction, or is it just efficiency? Because every time technology kills a job, economists tell us, don't worry, new, better jobs will appear.
That's the standard Luddite fallacy argument, but this time might be different because of the sheer speed. Usually, displacement happens over a generation. This is happening over a fiscal quarter. These firms look at that junior analyst and realize a plugin acts as a force multiplier. One senior banker can now do the work of 5 juniors. So you don't fire the boss, you just stop hiring the entry level. You sever the ladder.
That is a terrifying thought. You pull up the ladder, and suddenly there's no way to learn the trade. But there is a darker signal in the noise here regarding how companies are handling this. Did you see the update from @OpenAI?
Post town.
Oh, the hiring news?
Yeah, they just hired Arvind Casey as their new chief people officer. On the surface, the press release is all sunshine and rainbows, saying things like, "We care about our culture."
It smells like high-grade damage control to me.
How so?
Think about the timing. You don't hire a high-profile chief people officer at an AI company right when you are releasing tools that make people obsolete, unless you are preparing for a massive internal and external PR crisis. It's about managing the narrative of human displacement. They are talking about reskilling and expanding what people can do, which is usually corporate speak for, we need to figure out how to fire people without tanking our ESG score.
Reskilling is such a loaded word anyway. It feels like telling a blacksmith to learn to code, and now we're telling the coders to, become plumbers. Honestly, yes, because the physical world is the last bastion. Or at least we thought it was.
Well, about that. At R0CK3T23 shared this clip of Elon Musk talking about the Optimus robot. The interviewer asks the big question, when will a robot be better than a human surgeon?
And Musk says 3 years.
3 years at scale. That is terrifyingly specific. He argues that human intuition is linear, but the AI transition is exponential. He's basically saying, you think you're special because you have steady hands. Watch this.
I'm going to play the skeptic here. I would pump the brakes slightly on the surgery aspect. Yes, robotic surgery is precise. There are studies showing supervised robots outperform experts in basic procedures like suturing or cutting straight lines. But the bottleneck isn't precision, it's variability.
Variability, meaning what exactly?
Squishiness. Every human body is a little different inside. Arteries aren't always exactly where the textbook says they are. Handling that wet, messy variability is incredibly hard for a robot. A human surgeon can improvise when they find a tumor wrapped around a nerve in a weird way. A robot trained on data might hallucinate a solution that kills the patient.
That's a comforting thought for you. The robot hallucinated and cut my aorta.
Plus, have you ever dealt with the FDA?
Thankfully, no.
It is not a nimble organization. Even if the tech is ready in 3 years, the regulatory approval to let a robot cut you open without a human hand guiding it, that is going to take a decade. The liability insurance alone is a nightmare. Who do you sue if the robot messes up? Tesla. The hospital. The software engineer.
True, but the fact that we are even having the conversation about robots replacing surgeons shows how fast the window is shifting.
It does. But again, look at the second-order effect. If you do automate the surgeon, you solve the access problem. There are 160 million patients globally who can't get surgery because there aren't enough doctors. A robot surgeon doesn't need sleep, doesn't play golf on Wednesdays, and can be deployed in a shipping container to a rural village. So, great for humanity, but potentially catastrophic for the medical board's monopoly on high salaries.
So the labor market is shaking, but let's look at the engine driving this because the tech itself is moving at breakneck speed today. We have a full-blown agentic war breaking out, and the pricing is, well, it looks like a race to zero.
It's a race to the bottom on price, but a race to the top on capability.
Exactly. At scaling 0.1 broke down the pricing for the new GPT 5.3 codex. It's $1.75 per million input tokens. For anyone listening who doesn't track API pricing, that is incredibly cheap.
It is, but you have to watch the other hand. The input is $1.75, but the output is $14 per million tokens.
Walk us through that. Why the huge gap?
It's the razor and blade model for the AI age. They get you in with the cheap prompt, the razor. You upload your code base, your documents, your context. That costs pennies. But if you want the model to actually do the work, write the code, solve the logic, generate the app, that's the blade. That's where the compute happens, and that's where they charge the premium. It is designed to hook developers into the ecosystem so deeply that they can't leave.
But the ecosystem isn't just American anymore. This was the biggest surprise for me today. At Alibaba _Qwen dropped the Qwen 3.5 series. They have a medium model that is beating much larger Western models on benchmarks like GPQA.
This is huge, and I think people in the West are sleeping on it because they just see Alibaba and think e-commerce. But Qwen is serious, and the most important part, it's open weights.
We hear open weights a lot. Can we get the like, I'm 5 on that. Why does it matter if the weights are open?
Okay, think of a proprietary model like GPT-4 as a genius locked in a room at OpenAI. You can slide notes under the door, and it slides answers back, but you can't see the genius, you can't clone the genius, and if OpenAI decides to lock the door, you're out of luck. Open weights means they gave you the brain. You can download the file, put it on your own computer, and it runs. No internet required, no subscription, no oversight.
And the hardware requirements are dropping, right? At Alibaba Qwen mentioned it runs on consumer hardware.
Exactly. The community, like Unsloth, is already quantizing it.
Quantizing? Is that like zipping a file?
That's a perfect analogy. Imagine you have a 4K movie that is massive, like 100 gigabytes. You compress it down to a 1080p file so it fits on your phone. It's a little bit fuzzier, but you still get the whole movie. Quantization takes these massive AI brains and shrinks them down so they fit on a standard 24 gigabyte graphics card you can buy at Best Buy.
So essentially, China just handed a state-of-the-art superintelligence to anyone with a gaming PC.
Yes, and that breaks the monopoly. If you have a high-level model that runs locally, it is uncensorable. You can't turn it off. You can't regulate it. It fundamentally changes the power dynamic of who controls intelligence. It's not just in San Francisco anymore. It's everywhere.
Speaking of things being everywhere, the security implications of these new agents are starting to freak people out. At Rock, the CEO of Vercel posted that agents are coming to Slack, Discord, and Teams. He saw it at a hackathon. You just mentioned the bot, and it does the work.
Which sounds convenient until you realize what doing the work actually means.
Right. Ed Zivipino showed off Claude Code. It's not just a chatbot. You can point it at a website. And it scrapes structured data. He showed it pulling rental data from multiple sites in real time. And at Bertabo compared it to OpenClaw, calling it a remote control for your terminal.
This is the nightmare scenario for corporate security. We call it the death of the perimeter. The firewall. The imaginary wall around your company's data. If you have an agent inside your Slack that can also go out and scrape the web or execute code on your terminal, that wall is gone. You have tools now that are basically automated scrapers and executors living inside your communication channels.
It sounds like malware.
It acts exactly like malware. There's a reason Malwarebytes has been flagging some of these tool use behaviors. It looks like a virus. It reads your screen, it types commands, it sends data out. It just happens to be helpful malware that you installed on purpose to write code faster.
It's the helpful assistant who also happens to have the keys to the safe and knows how to pick locks.
Precisely. And if that assistant is running on a model trained by a company that needs to monetize your data, you do the math. Corporate IT departments are going to have a collective heart attack in 2026.
Well, speaking of companies trying to convince us they are the good guys while doing questionable things, let's talk about Anthropic's pivot today. At Anthropic AI released their Responsible Scaling Policy 3.0.
Ah, yes, RSP 3.0, the safety pivot.
They say they are separating their unilateral safety commitments from the general industry chatter. They want to be more transparent about risk. It sounds very responsible, very constitutional AI.
It sounds like safety theater. You have to look at the context here. Who is squeezing them? The Pentagon.
The Pentagon.
Yes, this is the story nobody is reading. There is a $200 million contract hanging in the balance. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth basically gave them an ultimatum. Relax the restrictions on military use or you don't get the money.
Oh, wow. So much for first, do no harm.
Well, the argument is first, do no harm to the United States. But look at the timing. Suddenly, we get a policy update that redefines how they handle safety and risk. Is this update actually about keeping humanity safe from AGI? Or is it about redefining safety so that it fits within the guidelines of a defense contract? It feels like they are clearing the runway to cash that check while still looking like the ethical alternative to OpenAI.
That is a fascinating thread to pull. It creates this tension. On one hand, you want your country to have the best tech for defense. But on the other hand, you have a company founded specifically on the premise of not building Skynet, now taking money to potentially build Skynet components.
Exactly. When $200 million is on the table, definitions of ethics tend to become very flexible. It's the dual-use dilemma. The same code that cures cancer can build a bioweapon. Anthropic is trying to walk that line, but the military contract suggests they are leaning toward the side of national security over global safety.
Okay, let's switch gears from software to hardware, because my timeline was exploding with some wild claims today. We need a reality check. At Kikius_Sage posted about a Chinese nuclear battery.
The coin-sized one, I saw that.
Yes, they claim it delivers 50 years of continuous energy without recharging. The headline is literally, China unveils coin-sized nuclear battery. I mean, are we getting infinite iPhones? Can I never charge my car again?
No, we are absolutely not getting infinite iPhones. This is a classic case of cool physics meeting clickbait marketing.
Burst my bubble then. What's the catch? Because 50 years of power sounds like a civilization-level breakthrough.
The catch is the output wattage. It uses nickel-63 beta decay. The physics works, it's real science, but the output is 100 microwatts.
Microwatts.
Do you know how little that is? You can't run a smartphone on that. You can't even light up a decent LED flashlight with that. A standard phone needs watts, not microwatts. We are talking about a difference a million times.
So what is it good for then?
A pacemaker. A sensor sitting at the bottom of the ocean that sends a ping once a day. Very low-power niche industrial stuff. But the idea that this is going to power consumer electronics, it's pure hype. It's stock pumping. It's national prestige. Look, we have a nuclear battery. Yeah, but it can barely power a calculator.
So 50 years of power, but only if you were a very sleepy calculator.
Basically. Don't throw away your USB-C cables quite yet.
Speaking of chargers, Tesla. At Holmars, leaked some photos of what looks like a cyber SUV.
Now, this is interesting. This is a move I've been waiting for.
It's got that angular Cybertruck look, but it's an SUV form factor.
Right.
People are speculating this is the new volume seller.
They need it to be. Look at the context on the sales figures. Cybertruck deliveries were under 40,000 in Q4 of 2025.
That sounds low.
For a niche truck, it's fine. For a company valued like Tesla, it's a disaster. That is not a mass market vehicle. Tesla cannot survive on niche products alone. They need a volume seller to justify the platform costs of that stainless steel exoskeleton.
So the cyber SUV isn't just a fun design exercise.
No, it's a financial necessity. The Model Y is great. Tesla even retweeted a review today saying this is the way, but the Model Y is getting old. They need the next big thing that normal families will actually buy. The Cybertruck is too polarizing, it's too aggressive. A cyber SUV might be the compromise that saves the quarterly earnings.
It's always about the earnings, isn't it?
In the auto industry, always. You can't pay for the AI revolution with low-volume trucks.
All right, let's land this plane in the strangest place of all, Washington, D.C., and the Internet's backrooms.
The culture segment, my favorite.
At Vigilant Fox, posted a clip from Trump's State of the Union that I honestly thought was a deep fake at first. Trump is proposing a ban on congressional insider trading.
A very popular idea.
Right. And who stands up to applaud him? Elizabeth Warren.
The arch nemesis.
Trump literally stops his speech and says, "I can't believe it. They stood up for that." He even takes a jab at Pelosi, asking if she stood up. Now, we should be totally clear to anyone listening, we are not taking any political sides here. We are just reporting on the source material.
Of course. But analytically, this is a classic populist play. Trump and Warren are on opposite ends of the spectrum, but they both know that the public hates the idea of Congress members getting rich on stock tips. It's the one thing that unites the MedGA base and the progressive left. It's the horseshoe theory in action. The ends are bending around and touching.
But will it actually happen? Or is this just theater?
That is the second-order question. It's easy to clap. It's easy to say ban it in a speech. But will the bill actually have teeth? Or will it be filled with loopholes so they can keep trading through blind trusts or family members? I'd watch the fine print very closely. But visually, seeing Warren and Trump aligned is a hell freezes over moment.
It really is. And speaking of unsettling visuals, let's talk about the backrooms. At Level SEO is reporting that the Backrooms is becoming a real A24 movie.
The liminal spaces meme.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, this started as a creepypasta on 4chan. Just an image of endless, yellow, fluorescent-lit office hallways. No monsters, just emptiness. And now it's a major motion picture.
This is the new IP pipeline. It used to be books, then comic books. Now Hollywood is mining internet anxiety.
Internet anxiety is a great way to put it. Why are we so obsessed with these empty hallways?
That is what liminality is. It's that transitional state. You aren't here, you aren't there. You are in the hallway. It creates this deep sense of unease. Research shows these spaces heighten anxiety in like 68% of people because they disrupt our sense of function. A hallway is supposed to lead somewhere. When it doesn't, our brains break a little.
It feels weirdly connected to what we talked about at the start of the deep dive. The job market, the AI transition. We are all kind of in a liminal space right now.
That's a brilliant connection. We are leaving the human era of labor, but we aren't quite in the AI utopia yet. We are in the hallway, it's uncomfortable, it's yellow, and we don't know what's around the corner.
And A24 is going to monetize that broken brain feeling.
Exactly. We are so overstimulated by the attention economy that the scariest thing we can imagine is a place with nothing in it, just buzzing lights and yellow wallpaper. It's horror for the dopamine-addicted generation.
That is profound and slightly depressing.
That is my specialty.
So what does this all mean? We have robots taking the high-paying jobs, cheap AI flooding the zone, China democratizing intelligence, and Hollywood selling us our own existential dread. Where do we go from here?
I think we are heading toward a breaking point in the labor market.
How so? Give us the prediction for tomorrow.
We talked about the investment bankers and the coders. These are groups that have never really organized before. They never had to. They were the talent. They had leverage. But now, with Claude Code and these banking plugins, their leverage is gone.
You think they'll unionize?
I do. My prediction is that by the end of 2026, we are going to see the first major white-collar wildcat strike. Maybe it's junior analysts, maybe it's entry-level coders. But when you realize the algorithm can do your job for $1.75, you realize your only power is collective. We might see the Coders Local 404 sooner than we think.
Coders Local 404, union not found but loading soon. See if the robots let us unionize. See you tomorrow.
Watch your second-order effects.